This is the first part of a series which helps to reveal the structure of documentaries. But what methods are used to construct a documentary? Step 1. Find a scenery shot accompanied with some fitting background music. Step 2. Using a medium close-up or close-up shot, find a middle-aged to old white male with a distinct voice to narrate, and be the face of your documentary.
Near a black hole, space and time.
I should be travelling not only around...
Always trying to be better, brighter.
Because, you know, architecture is about...
I'll share my personal, possibly bullheaded...
Step 3. Always include the irrelevant, but thematic wide shot, while zooming in, as if the white male is stranded.
To life's questions.
Can never go wrong with that. Step 4. Sound intellectual while using different footage to fill up screen time.
infiltrated popular culture and fundamentally changed the way we...
Now upstream the water is flowing pretty slowly.
Prisoners, you can only survive here for 3 to 5 days without water.
I investigate what happened next.
Step 5. Always use simple vocabulary to avoid confusing the passive target audience.
Because space flows faster and faster and faster towards the black hole.
You could even use diagrams.
X here marks your point of death.
Or just be incredibly blunt.
Because that's the title.
Step 6. Always find someone to back up your point.
Luckily, I've got marine biologist Eddie Kisfaludi along to help.
Or your typical native language-speaking survivor, always dressed in the most mundane of clothing.
Tutti eravamo tesi, tutti.
Or just stereotypical to the topic of discussion.
These steel frames are for bracing the buildings.
Or any celebrity with no real knowledge of the topic of discussion.
You know, it begins with a black screen, as all great moments do.
Literally anyone.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
Step 7. Repeat step 1 whenever necessary, to further dramatize the mood. How about something slightly more fast-paced? Or an overly dramatic soundtrack to a scene where previously you would not have possibly imagined to hold an emotional connection to. Step 8. Conveniently use the background as an analogy to describe your point, to come across as a really clever person.
This river provides a beautiful analogy for what happens to space and time as
you could use ridiculous adjectives.
This place will be as jagged as the mountains of Skye and as rugged-looking as a boulder.
Or use stupid experiments which explains nothing.
Or is it technically an exoskeleton because I'm inside it and I have a skeleton inside me? But I'm going to try...
Step 9. Repeat any of the previous steps as many times as you need, which by now is quite self-explanatory, so let's swiftly move on. Step 10. After depleting your resources, there are various options you could then finish with. Why not finish with a typical happy ending?
And she walked in, looked at me and said, "God, you've caused me some trouble."
Don't forget the stereotypical arms around mother shot, showing that the survivor is once again the protector, and nothing can stop him anymore. Cue warrior-esque music. Or maybe get the face of your documentary to recap on what you just wasted your time watching.
In these 3 programs, we've been able to look at just some of the many ways.
You could even use the face of your documentary to answer the original question. In his opinion.
So, how have video games changed the world? Well, they've entertained and we, in response, have cheerfully invited them in. All areas of our existence have become games.
Or just ask a question that doesn't really make sense and hope that it sounds good.
So, just how much architecture do you really need in life?
So, how many documentaries do you really need in life?